Bill Gates has just dropped a tech bombshell, announcing that the smartphone era is officially over. In a stunning reveal, Gates introduced the groundbreaking technology that he believes will replace smartphones forever. From AI-driven wearables to futuristic implants, this new innovation could transform how we live, work, and connect. Is the future here sooner than we thinking?
Bill Gates has declared the end of the smartphone era and unveiled its surprising replacement. What we'll witness in the days, weeks, months, and years ahead is a complete shift into what many once thought impossible, something I even...
In the future, you will own nothing, and you will be happy. That's what the World Economic Forum wants for the Great Economic Reset, which is right around the corner. But will you really be happy not owning anything? But once you stop paying the monthly fee, everything disappears. We're already heading towards a world where we pay only for access. We're well on our way to not owning anything anymore. And their goal is to do this by the year 2030. So, if you're looking forward to owning nothing, it's almost here.
So this was put out by the World Economic Forum. You may not have seen it, but this is the 8 predictions from them for the world in 2030. You'll own nothing, you'll be happy.
Is really telling, because the 17 points that the World Economic Forum has basically put out for Agenda 30 basically is exactly what you just saw. It requires a global government structure in order to implement. And to Wendy's point, everybody knows that home ownership in the United States has been the gateway really to developing wealth in our nation.
Where you own nothing, because then you're more reliant upon the government for public services. The government has more control when you own nothing. These kind of policies, it's scary as I sit here as an American.
Yeah, I know. Again, the classic American dream, be hard workers, love, support your family, get a house. Property. I know. Yeah. It's crazy to see how it's become.
I'm totally devastated by the news that's coming out. Bill Gates has decided that America is no longer his problem. He has introduced a genetically modified maize, which, by the way, the Nigerian government has approved. 2 Nigerians.
Bill Gates' obsession with controlling the womb of Africa is getting tiring, and at this point in time, I think this man needs to be tortured to death or something. Yeah, I'm inciting violence against Bill Gates. So what? He has done more atrocious things to human beings in the name of science and medicine than anyone can ever fathom. William Ruto is a white monopoly stooge that will sell out his people to enrich himself. I mean, at this point, I don't even think it makes sense to have such an idiot as a leader. Now, trying to rob your people to enrich yourself.
Me following comments I made about the shady attempt to pass the Control of Infectious Disease Bill. Comments that I strongly, and I repeat, I strongly stand on, for which even in international and local fora, we have been commended for standing against the plot of using our legislature to pursue sinister objectives. I want to thank the eminent juries of the Federal High Court and FCT High Court, Justice O. Musa, as well as Taiwo O. Taiwo. I appreciate with caution the police. Special thanks to my team of lawyers, to the Nigerian media. I applaud you all. I am also very grateful to all eminent Nigerians, both to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, Dr. Bukola Saraki, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, Senator Dino Melaya, Senator Shehu Sani, Comrade Timmy Frank, Comrade Deji Adeyinju, the revolutionary fighter Omole Sowore, Chief Dan Wanyanwu, Aloy Ejimako.
In Africa, in Nigeria alone, Bill Gates says a whopping $1.6 billion has been committed to the country so far by his foundation.
I've been coming here regularly since 2006, and I've always felt welcome. At some point during every visit, though, some brave person eventually asks me very politely, why are you actually here?
The foreigners who are sponsoring this and the so-called ritual killings are just a disguise. They are coming for organs like heart, so which will mean that that person has to die. They are coming for organs like kidney, even your entire so-called insecurity. In most of those areas where there are so-called Boko Haram or bandit activities, and it is the doctor who is authorizing that the organ of a Nigerian should be taken and given to another person. It's not the donor. There is no consent. So if you hear that some people took organs of others in any Nigerian hospital today, they have the legal framework in the National Health Act. This has never happened in the history of humanity. And this is a sad thing, that Ike Ekweremadu was then, as Deputy Senate President, was presiding over this public hearing with Ifeanyi Okowa, Senator Ifeanyi Okowa, who was the main sponsor of the bill. And it's a real shame for the entire country, for the first time in human history, that you will legalize organ trafficking.
Sometimes you see cases of ritual killings, but it's really under situations like this.
And I expected that the Buhari administration should by now take the initiative and repeal the National Health Act, because it is a useless law.
You're holding a seed. Looks harmless, right? But what if I told you that this tiny thing is at the center of the most quiet, most strategic power grab happening on the African continent right now? While everyone's watching military coups and election drama, there's a different kind of takeover happening. No guns, no headlines, just lawyers, parents, and international trade agreements.
Le tout financé par le fils de Howard Buffett, le magnat de Wall Street, par Bill Gates, le milliardaire, et par Monsanto, le géant fabricant de pesticides et d'OGM.
September 2018. I would never have imagined that this morning in Uganda would kickstart 3 years of my journalistic career.
Et juste à côté, entrée interdite.
George Soros, Bill Gates, and many more are pursuing a depopulation agenda. Poison in the food, fake medicine, endocrine disruptors.
Does Bill Gates want to implant us all with 5G microchips alongside the COVID-19 vaccine? Internet users have accused the billionaire of deliberately spreading the virus in order to control the world's population using geo-localized 5G microchips. In May 2020, the French actress Juliette Binoche shared with her 300,000 Instagram followers the following message.
These are operations international finance groups, mostly American, have been organizing for years. They're manipulating us without wanting to sound paranoid. The vaccines they're working on are a part of it. No to microchip implants for everyone. No to Bill Gates' operations. No to 5G.
The current vaccines are not infection blocking.
Have you ever wondered exactly how and when this guy became the world's top expert in everything? The guy who gets to tell you what to eat, what medical solutions to put in your body, what to drive, how many children to have, basically what kind of life to live. When exactly did turtleneck Microsoft guy turn into the world's foremost pharmacist, virologist, epidemiologist, agronomist, climatologist? Where was the meeting held where it was decided that this billionaire computer nerd should somehow become the unelected philosopher king of planet Earth? Well, to answer this question, there's something that recently happened in Nigeria that you should probably know about. So the Nigerian National Assembly just concluded its open week, where it presented its annual scorecard to the media and the general public on agriculture, nutrition, and food security, which is basically a stakeholder engagement session where a group of 9 people representing the interests of various agriculture stakeholders in Nigeria sat around the table and discussed how to change Nigeria's food and agriculture laws or write new ones in the interests of Nigerian citizens, or at least that's what it was supposed to be. Because let's take a look at the 9 people who took part in this public discourse. First, there was a Kanem Isiche, who is the deputy director at the Gates Foundation. I guess you could say this is fair because Bill Gates has an extensive and well-documented financial interest in GMOs and agribusiness in Africa. So even if you don't want GMOs to be introduced to Nigeria, it would be fair to at least expect him to have a seat at the table where such things are being discussed. But then there was also Michael Ojo, who is the Nigeria country director of the Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition, an NGO which is funded by the Gates Foundation. So that's 2 voices out of the 9 on the panel speaking directly for Bill Gates. But it didn't stop there. Sunday Okoronkwo, Executive Secretary of the NGO called Scaling Up Nutrition in Nigeria, or SUNN, also sat on this panel. SUNN is funded by the Gates Foundation. So that's 3 seats out of 9. There was Nimat Hajiboy, UNICEF's head of nutrition. And guess who is one of UNICEF's biggest donors? That's right, the Gates Foundation. 4 out of 9. Also sitting on this panel was Bello Lawal, National President of the Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, ALGA. Now, Mr. Lawal is known to have a very close working relationship with the Boston-based NGO Management Sciences for Health, which, it may not surprise you to find out, is funded by the Gates Foundation. Also, Algon itself has collaborated with the Gates Foundation multiple times. So that's 5 voices out of 9 on the panel. Then there was Dr. Ahmed Abdul Wahab, who is a health advisor at the Nigerian Governors Forum. No way this guy is also a Gates Foundation baby. 6 out of 9. Finally, you have this lady, Uju Anwuka, a senior special assistant to the president on public health. So as a public official, surely there's no way she also lives inside Bill Gates' pocket, right? Except it turns out that she doubles as the focal person at an initiative called Nutrition 774 and 774, which is funded by, you guessed it, the Gates Foundation. So that's 7 out of the 9 people on this panel pretending to carry out important public discourse and stakeholder consultation, while really just representing a billionaire's private commercial interest. The remaining 2 members of the panel, who are the only 2 members with actual legislative power, would have gone away from this panel session thinking that they have held consultations with all relevant stakeholders. Meanwhile, all they have done is listen to the same message repeated multiple times through different voices in the artificial echo chamber created for them by this American billionaire. This doesn't just happen in Nigeria. Wherever in the world you're watching this from, chances are this is exactly how important legislative and executive decisions are made in your country, over your head, without your consent, and without your input. With his vast financial war chest and an army of influencers of every type on his payroll, Bill Gates is actively astroturfing the internal policy conversation of countries around the world, including your own.
The study from the pressure group Global Justice Now paints a picture of the Gates Foundation partly as an expression of corporate America's desire to profit from Africa, and partly a damning critique of its effects.
You could have a case where the initial research is done by a Gates-funded institution. The media reporting on how well that research is conducted is done. The media outlet is a Gates-funded outlet, and maybe a Gates-funded journalist from a media programme, and then the programme is implemented more widely by a Gates-funded NGO. I mean, there are some very insular circles here.
So they went to Africa and did their own studies, and they looked at 30 years of DTP data, and what they found shocked them all. They found that girls who got the DTP were dying at 10 times the rate of unvaccinated girls.
Welcome to Candid Africa.
The most popular vaccine in the world is the DTP vaccine, diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis. We banned it, we got rid of it in this country because it was causing injuries, brain injuries, severe brain injuries or death to 1 in every 300 children. In Europe, they don't use it. In America, they don't use it. But we give it to 161 million African children a year. So Bill Gates asked the Danish government to support that program and said it saved 30 million lives. The Danish government said, show us the data. He wasn't able to. So they went to Africa and did their own studies. And they looked at 30 years of DTP data. And what they found shocked them all. They found that girls who got the DTP were dying at 10 times the rate of unvaccinated girls.
Intentionally using synthetic molecules, which by design are cancer, AIDS, all of the bogeymen we could dream up.
Yeah, it's for the purpose of sterilization and population control. There's too many people on the planet we need to get rid of. In the words of Bill Gates, at least 3 billion people need to die. So we'll just start off in Africa.
And now shifting our focus to East Africa, where farmers in Kenya are resisting an initiative by the government to vaccinate the country's livestock. Kenya is due to kick off an ambitious initiative this week to vaccinate all livestock in the country.
Keep looking up the sky, me like a money buying clothes to looking down. Who made been good, now see so bad. Through the front line enthroned, puffed up with so much pride. I'll come with some forgotten. Why Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. Now equating materialism with human eternal soul. Someone please tell me, how did we ever get here? I wanna know the real truth. Cold rain falling, about to be a brighter day. Hey, hey. Things ain't funny down here no more still. Many here looking up. It's a could have worked. Could have been a better place. The grill is getting ugly down here. Yes, many here looking up.
What if I told you that a vaccine was secretly laced with a hormone to cause infertility was given to hundreds of thousands of women and girls without their knowledge? What if I told you that a vaccine that was banned in the West for killing girls was pushed on African girls, making them 10 times more likely to die? And what if I told you that the man behind all of this, funding it, promoting it, has just Bill Gates, through the WHO, has funded programs that have been exposed as dangerous, unethical, and deadly.
Of the Bill and Melinda Gates Institute for Population Control.
We see a lot of things that are going very well, things like reducing childhood death and First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, health care, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, health care, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
Okay, Narrative Breakers, got a pretty hard story to believe today. Bill Gates just met with Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese to schedule a release of millions, yes, millions, mosquitoes. Bill Gates infamously went down to Africa, specifically African villages, to test out this new technology, and now he's ready to implement it on Australia after accusations of implementing this in Florida.
We love the source of life than life. Cold rain falling, about to be a brighter day. Hey, hey. Things ain't funny down here no more still. Many here looking up.
One morning, then a courier turns up, not a normal one. Suit, clipboard, very polite, hands me an envelope so fancy it looks like it should contain either an invitation to the White House or a threat. So I open it and I start laughing because inside is an offer to buy my farm, not rent it, not partner, buy it for £50 million. Now let's be clear, Diddley Squat is a nice farm, but it is not a £50 million farm. It's muddy, it leaks, it's full of sheep that actively dislike me. 50 million is not a valuation, it's a bribe. When someone offers you 3 times what something is worth, they're not asking, they're testing whether you're for sale. But farmers talk, and every time a farm changed hands around Oxfordshire, the same name kept coming up in whispers, Gates. Not directly, of course.